Have you ever tried presenting facts, data, and evidence to a person, like your co-worker, family, or friend, only for them to immediately dismiss all of that? Well, you're not alone. I'm glad you're tuning in today, because this video is all about thinking fallacies and how our brain can sometimes set us up to make mistakes. In 2011, Daniel Kahneman, a noted psychologist and economist renowned for his work on cognitive biases, published a book named Thinking Fast and Slow. It was written to help us avoid errors of judgment, illogical thinking, gambles, and make behavioral economics easy for everyone to understand. Kahneman, in his book, categorized the decision-making brain into two parts, or two systems, Systems 1 and 2. System 1 is commonly associated with the lower regions of our brain, the limbic brain and the reptilian brain. The System 1 brain may also be called the emotional or instinctual brain. Because it operates automatically without your input, it's practically effortless to use. It operates on heuristics or intuitive assumptions and is prone to error. Since thinking slow takes work and time, we are prone to think fast and in the path of least resistance. Page 35 of his book says, laziness is built deep into our nature, and the result of this leads to letting System 1 take over intuitively and impulsively. That is, jumping to conclusions. P.S. Advertisers always target the System 1 brain. System 2 is the skeptical part of our brain that requires us to concentrate and focus, to consider all forms of data. It's associated with the cerebral cortex and is located in the outermost part of the brain. It's also the newest and the most evolved part of our brain, which allows us to move beyond our impulses, aiding us to attain higher awareness about ourselves and the world around us. System 2 requires effort to use. It has to find relevant memories, deploy attention wherever and whenever it's needed. It's an energy drain. That's why whenever we get interrupted at work, we feel super frustrated. Fun fact, in the early 1900s, especially the 40s and 50s, lobotomies were considered a mainstream procedure to treat mental disorders. This treatment often included cutting off connections in the brain's prefrontal cortex, which is located in the cerebral cortex, which System 2 is. Anyway, back to the book. The human brain's ability to make mistakes in judgment is due to what Kahneman calls heuristics, or assumptions. In his book, he lists down a total of 48 heuristics. Because more often than not, people do not take the trouble to think through a problem, and the self-control needed to think through a problem is further lost when we are tired, hungry, or mentally exhausted. That's how we let System 1, our emotions, our intuition, our primitive, limbic, and reptilian minds take over. And when that happens, we do not become objective, rational thinkers any longer. It could happen to any of us, including me. And many marketers and advertisers know that and have profiteered off this. Ka-ching! Yes, there are 48 heuristics in total, but we'll not be going over all of them in this video, because I can feel my System 1 brain taking over after 5 minutes of listening. So let's go through the more interesting ones. Heuristic 1, priming, and Heuristic 40, ignoring frames, are very often capitalized by the marketing industry. Beauty ads prime your purchasing behavior with beautiful models on screen and on product labels. Framing makes you think that you've gotten a bargain, or that many people have already bought the product. In advertising, we always engage System 1, rarely System 2, if at all. Heuristic 4, confirmation bias. Influencing people to jump to conclusions work best when they save time and effort to let them jump. If it fits your stories that are already in your mind, your System 2 brain won't switch on to slow you down and consider any other alternative. As Kahneman said in his book, System 1 is gullible and biased to believe. System 2 is in charge of doubting and unbelieving, But System 2 is sometimes busy and often lazy, so we are prone to accept uncritically every suggestion. Wow, there are 4 here. What an exercise for your System 2 brain. They are somewhat similar to each other in the sense that people already have their specific likes and dislikes in the realm of emotions. That's why they're grouped here. The halo effect, judgment, effect, and representativeness affect us when we like or dislike everything about a person or about something. Seeing someone similar to you on TV, it primes you to like him or her or they at first impression. Liking someone or something at first impression, it tends to color their later situations. The first to speak in meetings can affect the rest of the meeting or prime the opinions of others. Once emotions are triggered or brought in, they can and will cloud our judgment. When we are given data, we can make accurate inferences. But when given data and a story, we tend to go with the story rather than the data, because we see causes that don't exist. We can be dazzled by the confidence or brilliance of others or of ourselves rather than objective facts, and that causes us to decide to the benefit of whoever's trying to sell us something. Also, if you associate positively with someone or something, it can actually suppress doubt, and sometimes even experts can mislead others. If there's one thing to take away from the previous 4 heuristics, it's that confidence is no measure of accuracy. Heuristic 27. Theory-induced blindness. Once you've accepted a theory and used it as a tool in your thinking, it's really difficult to notice its flaws. This is from Wikipedia. Lives were lost and humans had suffered, but the effects of this theory-induced blindness lives on. Now we move on to heuristics that happen when we've already purchased or acquired a product, something, or even someone. No one likes to lose, and System 1 especially fears losing. In investing, we avoid cutting our losses and being called a failure. We sometimes stay too long in abusive marriages or unhappy careers. We avoid making decisions that we will possibly lead to regret. So we cling on to things, even at considerable loss of income, sleep, or happiness. Now, we're not saying that emotional and intuitive judgments are wrong. In fact, it can be right to listen to our gut sometimes. But why make decisions based on one part of the brain? Wouldn't it be prudent for all of us to use both System 1 and 2 in decision making so that we can minimize mistakes? Kahneman says this in his book. The way to block errors that originate in System 1 is simple in principle. Recognize the signs that you are in a cognitive minefield, slow down, and ask for reinforcement from System 2. System 1 and 2 brains have their pros and cons, but at the end of the day, it's entirely you. So why not get them to work together instead of separately, logic and emotion hand in hand in helping us make better choices. And we'll like to say that we're doing this not for gain, or for vain, or because we're in pain, but it's really because it's good for the brain, and for us to be making better, more informed choices every day. Thank you very much for watching.